The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms the community channel. Let's see all things new. My name is Jennifer Nuya, live streaming from Cavite, Philippines. You are watching Stories from the Fringe. It's 38 days before Christmas, a perfect time to make memories with our loved ones, family, and friends. You are watching Stories from the Fringe. For those who are tuning in for the first time, Stories from the Fringe aims to push for more diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We are committed to creating a world where individual differences like race, gender, ability, and many others are not only accepted and understood but also celebrated. We all believe that we can be a part of this collective vision. To make the most of our time together, we encourage you to turn off all distractions, prepare to take notes, and just be fully engaged and focused with our guest today. Today, I am happy to welcome on the show Kristine Bondoc. Hello, Kristine.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you
How
for
do you
inviting
do?
me on the show.
Thank you for dropping in on the show. Can you please share with our viewers a brief background about yourself and the work that you do?
Yes, of course. So, hi, everybody. So, my name is Kristine, affiliated with the BPO industry for several years now. I'm what they would like to call a switcher. This is why I'd like to cover that topic today. I used to be in a different industry, then I switched to the BPO industry. Loved it here and then started to thrive, right? Born and raised in Manila, but I also studied abroad and lived in different cities. So I think the BPO industry has allowed me to also do that through sending me or by sending me to other countries to operate. So that has been quite a journey for me.
Mm.
But yeah, now I'm back in Manila, trying to serve a medium-sized BPO company here, and also happy that I can share my views here. Jen, thank you.
Thank you. Dear viewers, Kristine Bondoc, as she has mentioned before joining the BPO industry, she also was into or has background in scientific research, private wealth management, and
Mhm.
consulting. All right. So, what made you decide to shift to the BPO industry?
I think my journey going to the BPO industry has always been one with serendipity. I would say, you know how you plan your life when you were in college. Like I always wanted to be a banker. Um, I remember one of my friend's dad picking us up for carpool. He asked me, you know, Ting, what do you want to be right after college? And I said, I want to be a banker, right? And I always thought that that was, my career path. But I ended up in research. And after that, I thought it was a boring job. I ended up not liking it so much. It was behind the table, didn't get any interaction. So, lo and behold, one of my gym mates was trying to do and launch one of the private wealth management companies here in the Philippines, right? So she invited me for an interview. I ended up there. I was trying to get some of the BPO executives to actually sign up with us, trying to do their payroll, trying to do some of their corporate insurances. And I think he spotted me at the time. It was the BPO industry was quite new. It wasn't as developed where you talk to one person sitting next to you in a restaurant. Most likely they're in the BPO industry, but back then it was a small industry. They called it the
Mhm.
sunrise industry of the Philippines, right? Um, and then he kept on saying, "Why don't you work for me?" And it was 2 years of back and forth until I landed like a consulting work for one of the banks in the Philippines trying to set up their telemarketing. And then I bumped into the same executive again saying, Christine, why don't you try to join us? I'll show you what real telemarketing is about with fancy tools. So
Mhm.
that's how I landed in the BPO industry. He just invited me to show me his site, and then lo and behold, the same night I got a job offer. So when I moved, I didn't start as an agent. That's why I call myself a switcher, a job switcher.
Mhm. Wonderful. And what is the so that is your experience
Yes.
in moving to the BPO industry. Is that also the experience of others, or how is their experience different from yours? How do they get into the industry?
Sure. In the BPO industry, just for the benefit of our listeners and audience, there's a lot of departments. It's not just operations. So you have HR, you have training, you have IT, facilities, right? You also have, let's say, BCP, reporting. So to get in, the bulk of the job is basically the service that we provide, which is frontline support, or what they call agents or representatives, right?
Mhm.
That's the bulk of the job. If you go to a job board and then you type in BPO jobs available, you'll probably see most of the agent or champ jobs that are available. But for other departments, there are also ways to get in. On a champ perspective, let's talk about that first, because it's not just one discipline, right? Compared to HR. HR, you apply, basically it's an interview. They will ask if you have BPO experience, or um, I would say mass employment kind of experience, right? And then you'd probably get in. It's not as easy because there's still a lot of processes and tools to be learned. But for a champ, it's actually harder. When I say
Mhm.
champ or an agent or a representative, it's a bit harder. You actually have to go through level one interview, level two interview, and then you get invited to test your language capability. And
Mhm.
then you get invited to test typing speeds, grammatical errors in writing will also be tested, right? Proficiency in that. After that, they will match you with an account. From there, you have to train. After training, there's another hoop called certification. So only after certification will you be allowed to take calls. So in the certification process, there's a nesting period where half the day you're taking calls, half the day you're still under the training department to support you in trying to get better at the interaction. So either it's a call, an email, or some back office process that you have to do. When I talk about back office, it could be that companies outsource legal services to us. reviewing contracts, or we do accounts payable, where we do we prepare the invoices, right? So those are back office processes that are outsourced to us. But through that, you're gonna have to go through the hoops that I shared. So it's actually quite complicated.
Mhm.
Contrary to popular belief, it's not that easy to get into a BPO, but it could be very fulfilling and rewarding.
Mhm. That's very true. Corollary to that, from HR perspective, especially when we have ramp hiring, sometimes when we need to fill 200 or 300 for an account and we're only given a limited time to be able to onboard everyone, you sift through hundreds and hundreds of resumes, and then they undergo, as what Christine has shared earlier, the whole process. And in the end, let's say out of 100, you only get 30 or even less, because not everyone makes it to onboarding, or they don't pass the nesting period before you
Yeah.
can even go live on the phone.
Correct. And I think that's the frustration of some about the industry, right? Uh, but again, you have to understand that what we're trying to service are either North American clients or Asia Pacific clients that require high degree of English proficiency, and I think that's the main hurdle there. Otherwise, if it's they call it KPO, knowledge process outsourcing, or back office work, right? So basically outsourcing, more
Mhm.
of, let's say, verifying tickets. Like I said, if you're a paralegal, then you can be part of the legal services, right? That does contract reviews. Those are different disciplines that I think you could do without the voice interaction, right? But
Mhm.
again, most of it would be still here in the Philippines, at least. The predominant work would still be voice interactions or chat interactions.
Mhm. Yeah. One thing also that other people don't really understand about the BPO industry is, perhaps they think it's an easy job. You just need to take a call, or you just need to answer an email, right? Or process invoices. Things that really don't need critical thinking skills or higher order thinking skills, right? When BPO industry was still starting in the Philippines, there were some people who would even say, "Oh, you're a nursing graduate, or you're a graduate of another course for a year or 5 year course, and why are you just
Yeah.
working in the BPO industry? Isn't that beneath you?" And the same thing happened yesterday. The funny thing is, because I was talking to this connection, it was my first time to have a 30-minute Zoom coffee with him. And I think he still has the same mindset. Like, he was surprised when I told him that no, the BPO industry in the Philippines doesn't operate that way. At least per my experience, our requirement is for the call center agents, the entry level employees, to have 4 year course, because we believe in homegrown talents. And most of the people who have risen up through the ranks, they are graduates of 4 year course. And even the supervisors and up, they have MBAs. And some of the companies, if they're generous, they even send these managers to the schools, paying for the graduate studies of their employees.
Yeah. No, you're quite right? But I think earlier on that was the case. As we continued to expand the industry, we started hiring and opening, the doors to even high school graduates, so long as you're willing to self-educate, right? This is what I love about the industry. I mean, your show is about diversity and inclusion, right? So I think, right? The big part of what the industry has gifted the Philippines is that they were able to open this to high school graduates that could speak, could really navigate the computer, computers and the tools. Um, has a high degree of I would say adaptability and learning, right? Because it's an industry that keeps on giving. Why do I say that? um, I know some people might think, oh, high school graduate. If they're just high school graduates, then that means the industry is not as it's not as complex, it's not as competitive, but it is, right? But we do have a lot of trainings, and that's how it keeps on giving, right? So we will teach you the basics, and then we will, once assigned to a client or a client brand. Let's talk about it as a brand. For example, there are so many brands out there, say a popular cell phone brand. If we put you in that account, we will teach you everything about it. So you could either be on the tech side, right? If you're on the tech side, there will be awesome training programs that'll teach you everything from, if your phone doesn't turn on and why it doesn't, why the sound is not crisp. um, all of those can be addressed by a high school student now because of the robust training that we provide, right? And there's always constant upskilling coming from the client partner, right? Because technology evolves from their side. Let's say you're an app support for a popular ride sharing uh, app, then obviously their app evolves. So, in the past, some of these ride sharing apps used to just be, let's ride a car, and now they offer food and parcel services, right? So because of the changing demands, even our champs keep on getting trained about it. And I'll tell you, the average consumer will probably not know half the stuff our agents know or representatives know, because they keep on receiving education. So when we talk about education, it's no longer just the four walls of the classroom, right? The upskilling is part of it, coming from the client. So yeah, I mean, you're right in that, to move up, you need to get educated. And there's just I think in one of our chats before we got into the show, we talked about, like, how do we elevate talent, right? I think BPOs like us are also invested in our own curriculum on top of what the client provides. We have our own curriculum for leadership, for, let's say, data privacy. We have our own curriculum for how to be an effective leader, because eventually you're going to handle a team of 15 or 20 champs, right? If you're a young individual who's never, or even if you're not young, let's say you're a switcher who's never been in this industry, it's scary to all of a sudden handle 15 to 20 folks, right, with different personalities. So if you get promoted, how do you do that, right? There are certain disciplines that we will have to teach you, from coaching to facilitating mini trainings, right? To handling difficult conversations with your teams, through, and even handling data. We provide, and a lot of BPOs provide that, like even Six Sigma seminars, just to help our champs understand big data and errors, how to correct them. So it's a very colorful industry in that, and that's why I keep saying it keeps on giving.
And I'm pretty sure that is the main reason why you decided to go into the industry and why you are still in the industry. Because again, you say that this is an industry that keeps on giving. Anything else? Why? Any other reason why you really love your work in the BPO industry?
Well, you're always in the pulse, right? It's like you're ahead of knowing what's going on. So let's talk about the pandemic, for example. when this happened, we knew which industries were affected. So hotel industry, obviously, right? And we saw it in the amount of interactions that came our way, right? If an industry is thriving, for example, a hotel chain, people will be calling, I want to make a reservation, I want to cancel my reservation, and somebody on the back end will be doing that for you, or somebody on the phone or on chat, right? Depending on the kind of interaction. So we knew it was starting to impact these industries because you see the volume drop, the amount of interactions coming in the phone line started to drop, the amount of emails being picked up, chat being picked up started to drop. It's the same with the airline industry. And then you see it surge in the tech sector, uh, retail tech, right? Food delivery tech, the apps, all of those, you see it move up. So then you move your chaps, and like I said, if you're a flexible person or an agent, you kind of move where the volume is, and that's what actually gets you ahead when you have multi-disciplines that you learn, right? So we move them around, and it's like seeing how the world was changing in consumer behaviors, and now that it started to open up,
Mhm.
right? You're seeing it switch again to travel. You're seeing it switch again to, people buying concert tickets, stuff like that, rather than, uh, staying at home watching an app, a movie app or entertainment app, right? So I think that's, you see consumer patterns, how that influences the world. The other thing too is you see, it's exciting because I saw how technologically we've evolved in terms of consumer touch points. When I was younger in this industry, it was predominantly calls. So in fact, outbound, right? It used to be that there's a dialer, right? That
Mhm.
where you call and then you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm from so and so company. May I offer you a product? That was the earlier days. And then the interactions became more inbound, where customers call in. Um, that balance kind of tipped. And then technology, when the internet became more predominant, there was a lot of websites being developed. So self-help became an option through the web. We used to call it in my younger days, push to web. You have to tell the customer on the phone that, by the way, if you need more information about the product, you can visit our website at www, right? And
Mhm.
now, even, oh, you can send us an email for a follow-up, or we'll email you the follow-up. Now the interactions are different. There's a social media platform,
Mhm.
right? So our champs also do that. We manage some of the social media of some of the top brands in the world. There's also chat support or app support, where you chat through the app, right?
Mhm.
So you see how technology also influences that, and how it starts to work differently. And whenever there are new product launches, for a large global brand, you're the first to know about it, or a service launch, right? You're the first to know about it because they have to set up the customer service infrastructure before they turn it on. So it's quite exciting because then, you see how certain industries innovate and what they start to offer in the market, in a very competitive market that we operate in now, like the global
Mhm.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really sounds exciting when you are at the forefront of any technological transformations. All right. So,
Yeah,
well,
it is.
yes, sorry, Christine.
No, I was just to say it is. That's actually the most amazing part of the industry, and I hope the ones that are switchers or have just applied and this is their first time, that I'm excited for you, because in the last 20 years, Jenny, you and I both know how much technology has changed. And when we were young, we never had iPads, and now everybody, beyond iPads, all our mobile phones can, we can
Mhm.
video chat or even stream this way. In the past, it was hard to do without a lot of machines, and now we could just do it using our laptops or our phones, right? So if you're in the middle of all of that, it's very exciting. And if you're new in this industry, gosh, I don't know what the next 20 years would look like.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, um, I'm loving this conversation, Christine. We'll go back later to the conversation after this short ad spot from our sponsors. So, dear viewers, please stay tuned for the second part of our interview.
Greenfield District, the future-ready district, home to Greenfield Tower, with its state-of-the-art fiber optic internet backbone. Connectivity is built right into residences like Twin Oaks Place. 15 flourishing hectares right at the heart of Metro Manila, so that at work and at play, we can plant a future where dreams grow. Greenfield District, the future-ready district.
TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all our shows as seen on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Thank you also for always supporting Stories from the Fringe. We are live every Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. You can watch live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. For sponsorships, please email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a DM. Enjoy these life-changing shows because we made them just for you. At this juncture, I'd like to thank all our audience for choosing to spend your Thursday morning with us. Thank you for tuning in, Brenda Ringwood from Kansas. Hello, hello. I hope everything's well with you and yours. Also, thank you to Coach Al Perez. Thank you so much. You are also beautiful and smart. Yes, we agree as what Kristine has said. BPO industry is an industry that keeps on giving. And thank you also, Juan Lunaria, for watching. We hope to see you again next week. So, dear viewers, before we went on a short break, Kristine Bondoc has been sharing with us the reason why she decided to jump from a different industry or different industries to the BPO industry. And so far, she's loving it. And she also shared with us how an entry level employee is hired in the industry and what are the things that an employee can do to thrive in the industry. Okay, so let's call in again Kristine Bondoc.
Hey, Jenny.
All right. So again, we mentioned that BPO industry is now hiring even high school students as long as they are willing to self-educate. And this is made easier because the BPO industry is the one allowing all these trainings, all these upskilling opportunities for the employees. So I love that because I myself is also a lifelong learner and I have varied interests also. Now you've mentioned this. What do you think are the other things that employees can maximize so that they can have staying power in the industry?
Yeah. So I think it really centers around, and much like other industries, right? You have to be aware of the news because that keeps you ahead, right? Um, why do I say that? Employees that anticipate and are open to changes. Like I said, during the pandemic, there are certain industries that started to thrive in terms of volume, and there's certain industries that was heavily that were heavily affected.
Mhm,
So, if you're an employee that's not flexible, for
mhm,
example, and you say no, I just want to stay in this travel account because this is what I really want to do. But what if there's no calls, right? You
mhm,
can't move up if you don't have any other disciplines anyway, right? Because as a team manager or a I would say like a program manager, it's
mhm,
better if you know more things. If you know how to manage different, because every interaction will have a quality metric
mhm,
assigned to it, right? If you understand that, oh, for some it's really resolution that's important, for some it's really sales and conversion that's important, for some accounts it will be the upselling that's important, right? Or for
mhm,
some it's all about speed, right? How fast can I close this interaction? So I think
mhm,
in the end of the day, if you only know one track, it'll be harder for you to be a competitive manager out there, or even a
mhm,
director, because we whenever I look at potential leaders on who gets to move up, it's really those that, number one, like what you said, lifelong learners, right? Total advocate of that. Number two would be the ones that are agile and flexible.
mhm,
And then three would be those that really apply critical thinking. What do I see in the news? Like, or let's say they really listen to the interaction or read through the interaction and think through, practical thinkers. You have to be that, in this industry to be able to thrive. Everything else will be given to you. Your tools are
mhm,
given to you. The responses even are given to you. The solution thread. It's not like if I ask you to, hey, my phone is not turning on, I don't know what to do, right? there's already in the tool in itself, right? The moment you navigate your tools, it'll tell you step 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you're not thinking, you're still thinking, because then if a client cannot express what the problem is, let's say an elderly individual, right? How do you guide them to say if you press this app, it'll help your phone restart, or it'll help troubleshoot the problems of your phone? It's hard. So that the application of, if I were in the person's shoes, what would I do? That kind of empathy really gets you somewhere in terms of moving up from a basic representative to an awesome representative, all
Mm-hmm.
the way to, if you really live and breathe the client brand that you're staying at, then you're attuned to their social media pages, you follow their news, then you become a brand ambassador, an extension of what the client is about. Then that gets you ahead, right? If you collect a lot of client brands under your belt in the years that you work with us, or even the few months that you work with us, then you become more exposed to different processes, and that also gets you ahead. So that's why I think eagerness to learn is so important, because not everybody is interested in upskilling themselves. Plus, there are a lot of free courses, and I'm sure a lot of BPOs do this. A lot of free courses are out there, but not everyone accesses those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So you mentioned agility. I also believe that an organization is as only as agile as the people making up the organization, right? And also you mentioned empathy and flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
any and then the ability to connect all these brands so that you can better represent the brand as the brand ambassador, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I remember when the BPO industry was still starting, one of the problems, major problems, is the high turnover. Some of the agents, they took advantage of the system. For example, they will get the training from one BPO, and then once they had the training, in 6 months' time or 1 year time, the first BPO hasn't recouped yet the investment. They will move to another BPO company, and they will, of course, get higher compensation, the perks, and the benefits. So, right now, I would imagine that with the pandemic also, there might have been layoffs. I'm not really sure about the other industries. But so, how did you try to retain the employees?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, the current company I'm with, right, during the pandemic, we didn't do layoffs. We actually kept on hiring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the BPO industry is unique in that whenever there's a crisis in, let's say, the countries that we service, which is predominantly North America for us, right? A lot of that would be driven down to cost, right? So let's say products like, again, let's go back to something that's relatable, like your cell phone, right? Some of the consumers will say, well, I don't want to pay for repair, so let me call the hotline to troubleshoot, right? um, it used to be that some of those jobs were abroad,
Mm-hmm.
and then because of the pandemic or cost pressures, or now that they're experiencing high inflation, some of those jobs actually move offshore, which is where we are, or India, right? So they outsource those to, obviously, to control costs on their side. um that's the good thing about this industry. That's why it's expanding, and we saw that, right? On top of that, I think during the pandemic there were also new services that opened up. Like I said, you remember back in the day, grocery delivery apps wouldn't be something that you and I would think about, right? Your typical, even here in the Philippines, we have a grocery delivery app already. um, every weekend, that's when we do our grocery or after work. Now there's an app to do that. So, or a service provider that does that. So those business models actually thrived during the pandemic because a lot of people were scared to go out and,
Mm-hmm.
ended up servicing them. And again, this is the reason why you have to follow, and why I love the industry. You follow the news, there's always a demand. It's just, again, for the agents, it's really just about flexibility in making sure that we're able to teach them how to do it right, because then
Mm-hmm.
the competition can also do it better. So for us, I think we're lucky in that we were able to land, great logos during the pandemic. The sales team was pretty robust. Our sales team is based abroad. They were able to bag a couple of logos for us. So, and it's the same for other BPOs. Unfortunately, other BPOs that are homogenous or, heavy on, let's say, travel industry, hotel industry, those BPOs that are heavy on, let's say, just telco, servicing cell phone provider companies, right? I think they had to do some layoffs. Even
Mm-hmm.
ride share BPOs that were just heavily leveraged on, or have large clients that are on the ride share business, they had to do some layoffs, or at least, tell their agents, hey, can you vacation for 2 weeks until we find you another training class to join or another client to join, because again, the global stage was affected.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these changes impacted even the way we manage our workforce. um, I'm just thankful that our BPO is servicing the healthcare industry, which actually thrived during the pandemic also. So, I think for the BPO leaders out there, when you think about your BPO, you have to ask yourself, are you also diversified enough to protect yourself from ebbs and flow of the industry,
Mm-hmm.
or ebbs and flow of your client's business, right?
Yeah, that's a very thought-provoking question. To ensure that you are future-proofing your organization, again, you need to be not only scanning your internal environment, but also the external environment, and how are these changes in the external environment going to shape your strategy. And you should be able to pivot as needed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
But to your point earlier, though, a lot of the champs, and back in the day, you did, and it still happens now, where they became professional trainees. They join one BPO and then they will quit towards the end of the training, and then join another BPO just to train, and then quit again just to get training salary. But BPOs are friendly to each other. Eventually, we we recognize patterns in your employment history, and also we talk to each other. Sometimes we send those names and we would say, hey, you know what, don't hire these guys, they committed fraud, or they did this, right? So because the industry at large really wants to protect the kind of industry we've built, right? Remember back in the day, some of these cities wouldn't even exist, like the pesa zones wouldn't even exist without, the demand that the BPO industry was able to bring. So we were able to actually change even the landscape and the architecture of the country. So, we're very protective of this industry. The leaders are always thinking about how do we separate the bad eggs from the really good ones that are helping the economy.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really important because if one bad egg does something, then that already, it's like one face of BPO. They will think that all Filipinos are like that, and we don't want that to affect the whole industry. Now, you mentioned that the BPO industry has navigated the pandemic, and it's very good. They did very well in that aspect. Now, what is the role of the leaders in ensuring that as the demands uh, as the demands on the people that we work with and we work that we work with are changing, how do we empower them so that they are able to accomplish this and in turn able to energize and strengthen customer interactions?
So actually, we're living in a new normal now. So this is our normal, right? And globally, part of what changed would be the work behaviors of our champs. At the beginning, when we started to transition work at home, everybody's like, why am I going to work at home? I don't have internet. I can't work at home. I don't have a dedicated workstation. I miss my team. I really want to quit. This is not a job for me. It's so stressful. Now that we're inviting them back, it's like, why go back to work at home? We're able to save money on gas, and so even the employee mindset about the way work is delivered has already changed. It actually forced the government to try and do something about it, right? Globally, like
Mhm.
even large companies, the Googles of the world, they're back and forth with, yes, we're going to bring you back. Okay, fine, we're not going to bring you back, not now at least. Right? So as a leader, I think that in the end of the day, you have to emphasize that any job out there, right, especially if you're in the service industry, is about service, right? And we have to really think about that.
Mhm.
Let me go back to that. Why do I want to emphasize service? It's
Mhm.
because it's not like you're a baker. You wake up early in the morning, right? It's not because you love to bake every day bread, right? It's not every day that you love your job. But there's something in the heart of a baker that says, gosh, I have to wake up at 2 a.m. and bake pandesal or bread because otherwise my community will not eat. So it should be the same kind of concern, right, for the customer base of your client, for our economy here in the Philippines, knowing how much dollars we actually bring in through the BPO industry. You have to apply that. It's the same
Mhm.
kind of concern where you say, I have to do a good job. I have to go to work. I know there's changing protocols in the company, or my clients are changing tools or protocols or processes, but I have to adapt
Mhm.
because it's for everybody else. Like there will be, let's say you service the healthcare industry, there will be an elderly woman that wouldn't get her medication somewhere in North America if you didn't show up to work today. She will be waiting on the phone trying to get somebody to help her out in the same
Mhm.
care that a Filipino agent can give. um,
Mhm.
and I think if we apply that mindset, uh, leaders, you have to imbibe that because you cannot lead the group if they don't see you care first,
Mhm.
right? So that mindset should be adopted. And as a leader, your responsibility now goes beyond the phone call. It goes to building and growing your company, contributing to, let's say, more jobs being generated here in the Philippines, contributing to our overall economy. If you don't understand that that's your role, then you as a leader will not mature to a manager, a director, a VP role. You have to understand that the responsibility goes beyond just the interaction. That's why that interaction um, needs to be cared for, regardless if it's tech, chat, back office. It has to be a work of art and a work of love. I think.
Yeah, that's very beautifully said, Christine. Thank you for emphasizing that. I always tell when I was still in the corporate, whenever we have the team building or the strategic planning sessions, that yes, there will be times when sometimes you don't feel like going to work, when the bed seems to be better than going to the shower. But always remember to get up, dress up, and show up. Because if you're thinking that what you're doing doesn't matter, you have to rethink that, because you matter and the work that you do matter. Even though at that present moment you still cannot see the big picture, but always have that big picture in mind, how you are affecting the bigger ecosystem, not only you, your organization, but as you mentioned, how the BPO industry as a whole is helping the Philippine economy. That's very
Mhm.
beautiful.
You have to really attach purpose to what you do. Other in any industry, but for the BPO industry, that's we are one of the largest dollar generating industries in the Philippines, right? But again, you have to attach purpose to what you do. You cannot just think, oh my God, the calls are queuing, or there's just so many batches of emails I need to answer. There will be days that are like that. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is always perky every day. Very few individuals are like that. But I think if you attach purpose to it, then you're able to draw strength and survive through different changes. You remember back in the day when we had like EDSA, people power, even the global stage were looking at us and thinking like, is the Philippines, even our clients were calling us, is it still a stable economy? Can we still hold our business there? Because it seems like there's a
Mhm.
meltdown. You know what I mean? So we were able to weather through all of those crises, right? Crises, and we're able to thrive. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the leaders of the industry just decided we're gonna be purposeful in this, uh,
Mhm.
and then be one of the cornerstones of the Philippine economy, at least the modern Philippine economy.
Yeah. So, what's the general outlook for the BPO industry? Are we still here 10 years or 20 years in the future? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that it will be, powered by technology. Why do I say that? Because there are exciting tools that are around, and you see it even in Instagram. For example, you notice those numbers in Instagram, they sound the same. It's actually just an app, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
now there are apps that improves an agent's intonation, right? There are apps that helps us analyze customer speech patterns to determine if they're already irate or not. um, there are apps that cancel background noise that allows us to really thrive in a work at home environment, right? So there are
Mhm.
certain technological developments that support what's going on in the industry. So I think the overall experience of the customer on the other side becomes more seamless. uh,
Mhm.
Again, 10 years from now, I think the interactions will not go away. I think we will become more efficient again
Mhm.
because of the tools that are available. When I say tools, those are software, app, technology.
Mhm.
Um, but people will always want to crave human interaction. I
Mhm.
think AI will become more intelligent. So whenever you chat, for example, uh, let's say in an app, a banking app, the
Mhm.
first answer is not necessarily a live person, it's a bot, right? How may
Mhm.
I help you, right? uh I need to cancel a credit card transaction, I want to report fraud. The next answer would probably be a bot again, because they have started to become intelligent in that the common concerns are already loaded in the bot system,
Mhm.
but the complex concerns will still be uh, a human person critically thinking about what are your concerns. If you have multiple concerns, I want to be able to address that. And those are the
Mhm.
things that would probably uh, that's how interactions would probably evolve when it comes to human interactions in the BPO industry. Now, with what's going on, and everyone knows that there's, they call it now, we are in a recession, or some say it's coming, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs would be migrated here again. Maybe it's not the jobs that necessarily is like the core business of a client in the US. They would say, hey, in the past we can't outsource that job because we need licensed people to be doing that. Now they're open to licensing, certain people here so that we can do the job a lot cheaper. But I don't like to use the word cheap because it's not about being cheap. It's about delivering the value and the quality, right? The same amount of quality that they would otherwise get abroad. Um, but yeah, 10 years from now, I think the demand would still be stable. I think that the interactions might change, probably lesser emails, more on the app support because, app is our way of life now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think eventually, in the way that Mark Zuckerberg is looking at, the metaverse, probably we're going to open, different doors to where agents could work, and it's no longer confined in, so long as the security of your machine, right, and the environment is proven, then I think it could be a mobile kind of work for our frontliners, which is a nice thought process to have, because when you think about it, when I used to live in Europe before, I remember the job was portable. So if you're a project manager, you could basically work anywhere, right? So I think that's where the industry will eventually head. There will be a lot of tools to protect data and secure that, because you're also seeing. I mean, you see it now in your cell phones where so many people are just sending you random messages, right? And a lot of those would be hacked. If you click on the link, they will hack your data. So I think there will be tighter security protocols also for the industry. But like I said, when I was younger, I never predicted there would be an iPad. Honestly,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I used to watch a cartoon, and this is dating me, but I used to watch a cartoon called Jetsons when I was younger, where,
Yeah, Jetsons.
right, and they would say, oh, the phone call has like a video conferencing, right? And now we have that video conferencing not attached to a machine, but we can be walking around the city, right? So if technology is changing this way, I would think the next 10 years of the BPO industry is going to be very exciting. Very, very
Yeah,
exciting.
it is exciting. Yes. I so look forward to the time when you said those bots will be intuitive and intelligent, because during the pandemic, when not many people were working or responding from the offices, they used bots. And it was kind of frustrating when I would ask questions and the answers are circular. Like, yes, it was so frustrating. And then I even had, after several attempts, I even said, can I please now talk to the representative because your bot is not helping? I mean, I know that they tried to employ the bot because they felt that it would be helpful, but actually it's making the problem worse, making the customer. So that's my experience, making the customer more frustrated every minute. So
Yes,
I so look forward to that.
that's why I think human interactions still matter, right? Because you can make a person who's panicking calm down. Like, calm
Mm.
down, I will reschedule your flight. It's okay. We will take care of you. That's different from a bot that says, if you want
Mm.
to cancel a flight, just press this link, right? It's different. It's like it's different because humans want to be heard naturally.
Mm.
They want to be understood, or somebody from the other side at least empathizes with them that I recognize you have an issue. It's very different when somebody says that. But bots now are becoming more intelligent, and again, we I think our tech guy would call it trainable bots.
Mm.
So we load, typically we get certain insights from our quality department saying, here are the top 10 concerns of the customers, and here
Mm.
are, the best responses for those concerns, right? We load
Yeah.
that in the bot. So now it becomes more intelligent. So if it's a matter of, let's say you're buying ticket concerts online, let's just say, and you bought it through an app, you could just say, uh, please share with me available seats, or
Mhm.
can I cancel the seats, right? The bot can say, yes, I can do that for you. Yes, done, right? Instead
Mhm.
of waiting for a live person. So
Yeah.
basic interactions like that could, or if it's just a question on what time is the show, what available
Mhm.
times for the show, the bot can actually share that. Even
Mhm.
you can even see it now in social media platforms, right? It's
Mhm.
programmable where if you own a shop, you could actually say, where is your shop located? It the bot or the AI shares the address of the shop without,
Mhm.
the customer or the owner chatting that my shop, 10,000 times a day when she has 10,000 customers, my shop is located at. She doesn't have to do that repeatedly. There's
Yes.
an intelligence that would, artificial intelligence that would answer that for her. But again, live interactions is still hard to beat, only because humans are feeling individuals, right?
Mhm.
Feelings, and people need to pacify that, especially in the heat of panic or anger or frustration. So that's
Yes.
what the value of like a human interaction brings.
So we're close to the bottom of the hour, Christine. Thank you so much for all the wonderful insights that you have shared with us. Now, if there are any top three things that you want our viewers to take away from this conversation, what are those?
So I think number one would be embrace change, right?
Mm.
The history of mankind is always change. It used to be, we were agricultural, then we became industrial, now we become, service oriented through tech, even powered through tech, even. Embrace change. It's always just going to be there. Don't be afraid of it, because if you become afraid of it, you will be unwilling to learn, right?
Mhm.
Number two would be curious. So if there's new apps, no matter how old you are, try to discover what it's about. If you see your grandkids walk around with a piece of technology, just ask what it's about and try to, have them teach you how to use it, right?
Mhm.
Because it allows you to live in the now. Not talking about like philosophizing stuff, but I'm just saying it allows you to at least gain additional knowledge. So curiosity gets you there also. The healthy kind of curiosity, right?
Mhm.
So try to keep learning. Um and then my third and most powerful tip would probably be, you have to thrive when you're redirected. So,
Mhm.
like my story in the BPO, it wasn't necessarily the career that I wanted, but I was redirected. And you'll never know, it might be the best adventure that you might have, right? So when you're redirected in life, um, let's say you were a flight attendant, you were furloughed, and then now you
Mhm.
find yourself applying in the BPO industry. You'll never know. You might be one of the best out there, and even, head the country operations in the future, right? Or let's say you used to work in the hotel industry. It didn't thrive during the pandemic, and now you find yourself as a manager in the BPO industry. There's a future for you here, right? To keep climbing the corporate ladder. But enjoy when you're redirected.
Mhm.
That allows you to thrive. Yeah. Those are the three things.
Thank you. Brilliant. Brilliantly said. And how can our viewers continue to follow you? Can you please share your social media handles so that they can follow you and your work?
Yeah, so a very basic person. So you can find me in LinkedIn as Kristine Bondoc. Those are my professional posts, of course. I'm also on
Mhm.
Instagram as Kristine Bondoc.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for having this meaningful and powerful conversation with me and also bringing value to our audience.
Thank you, Jen. I enjoyed this conversation and the conversations we had prior to this show. And I hope your show continues to gain a broad audience. it's really natural and organic. I think and that's a beauty of your show. So keep doing it, and one day, I want to keep watching more of your series or podcasts that you have. Just let me know when they're aired.
Mhm. Thank you so much for the kind words. Claiming that now. So, dear viewers, our guest next week is a lifelong student of almost everything, including travel, fitness, photography, and kite surfing. The founder of his own consultancy firm, Neurocognitive Leadership. He helps business leaders do what they do best and even better by applying simple, ancient, and modern techniques verified by scientific research and, of course, his own experiences. Tune in next Thursday, November 24th, 10:30 a.m. for my conversation with Team Green. Thank you all so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world. God bless everyone.